is pick up an item, any items that are spawned in out of bounds areas. Alright, so we can probably start the timer in 3, 2, 1,
Good
go.
morning, Morgan. Today is Monday, March 15th, 2032.
And so normally in runs, we would start with a save file that's right after this cutscene, just so we don't have to actually watch the cutscene. But since people were donating for male or female, I figured I'd show that. Alright, so first thing, I'm going to take this chair, and I'm going to throw it up on this door. And I'm going to get up on top of it, and go out of bounds, and we're back in bounds. And that skips like a 9-minute intro sequence to the game. I'm going to come over here to this body, and okay. Unfortunately, did not have a wrench. I do actually need a wrench, but I have a backup save for that.
You'll quickly see that this game is extremely broken.
Where is it?
There's
There it
a lot
is.
of out of bounds.
Alright, I did make a backup save for both male and female Morgan for this eventuality, so it is still male Morgan. But, the reason I had to have a backup save for that, when like items that are in certain lootable places that are generated from a pool of possible items. So on that body I needed there to be a wrench, and it's a 50-50 chance of whether it's a wrench or an apple, so
My code name is January.
I will be needing the wrench really soon.
Yesterday was real. If you want to know what's going on, first,
So skipped another little cutscene in that room just by going over the top of it. And now I'm going to pick up the glue gun, which is a very important item for this run.
good. You're in the simulation lab. Now
And I'm sliding along the floor a lot just to try and
make contact.
preserve stamina as much as I can. So I don't have a whole lot of it to work with just yet. And I'm going to pick up and use this first neuromod immediately, because if I use it right away, it skips a cutscene that would normally play that shows Morgan like putting the needle from it into his eye. And it's pretty much just a free little like 20-second time save by using the neuromod immediately instead of waiting. So coming up in the lobby here, I'm going to do a little bit of running around to pick up some items that I'm going to need fairly soon. Just loot that body. It usually has some kind of ammo and a med kit, and I want both of those things. In just a few seconds here, I'm going to do another clip, and think you can explain how the glue clipping works?
You need to get to your office.
So
I've updated your map. There's a video you need to
there's
see.
two different types of glue clipping.
you have
You
a
can
lot of
either clip through a
questions.
wall,
To
like he's
muster
going to do right
stations
here,
immediately
or you
and
can
await
do
further
a thing with the
instructions.
recycle grenades that he just picked up from that little safe on the wall. But for this, if you
There we go.
stack two glues on top of each other on pretty much any wall in the game, and leave a little space just big enough so that you can fit in there, as long as you get a long falling animation after climbing it, the bottom one, all you have to do is hold space and you can kind of just clip through any wall. And it only works if you have object detail set to at least medium for whatever reason. Still have not figured that out why.
There we go. Those clips are definitely a pretty heavy reset point for the run. Alright, so now I'm just need to head down to the power plant. I've got to reactivate some parts of the station in order to progress the game. I'm just going to loot these bodies and hope that they have what I need. They
Is
did
my
not
volume
quite.
better now? I saw some people in chat saying they couldn't hear me.
Alright, so now I've got into the power plant. There's a fairly recent clip that's been found for this route in power plant, so I'm going to try to go for that. This one's somewhat difficult because there's not a good visual cue for where exactly I need to shoot the glue onto the wall. It can be pretty easy to mess it up. Yeah, that's not going to work. That was too low.
This is probably one of the hardest sections in the run, just because there's a blind fall coming up in a second here.
They're too close together. I was just practicing this too.
Yeah, for stacking the glue, you have to have a very specific amount of space. Too much and you don't fall off, too little and you can't climb. So it's really precise.
I just end up a little bit too close together right now. That looks good. There we go.
Yeah, that should work.
So I'm through there. Now I walk off this edge and I just kind of end up in a microgravity area, which lets me fly over here. We have no idea why there's a area of microgravity right there, but it's convenient. Now I just blindly fall off of this and climb this ledge before I fall to my death, and then jump back in bounds. And I'm just gonna loot these things while I'm here, because they have some important items that I'm going to need soon. This is a weirdly difficult fall to do right here. There we go. I need to grab one of those ledges because grabbing onto a ledge while you're falling cancels all fall damage. So even falls that would normally be lethal and completely unsurvivable, you can survive and be totally fine if you just grab a ledge before you hit the ground. It's not gonna work.
This is
So
the first instance of
I do have enough.
door dislocation. For whatever reason, if you stick glue to a door, the door's hitbox gains the properties of the glue, except the hitbox can't be destroyed. So with the recycle grenade, you can kind of move objects and then destroy them. And since the door gains the properties of the glue, the hitbox moves with the glue as well. So you can kind of just clip through.
And you can kind of tell if it works just by looking at the screen while the grenade is going off, because you can see and it looks like just the glue is getting pulled off of the door, but it's actually taking the entire hitbox of the door with it. Right, but because I just placed that door, now I was able to just go and turn the reactor back on without actually doing any of the things I normally would have to do. So now I just need to get back out of the power plant.
I see. You reset everything. Talos 1 is wide open now. Clever. Reckless, but clever.
So the one unfortunate thing about going through this area the way I have is that I'm basically doing it backwards, which means this door is not open, and I don't have the key for it, so I have to displace it. Just like that. That can be kind of an awkward door to displace because it has a tendency to not move far enough for you to actually be able to fit through it. But now that the reactor's on, I get to go up to the Arboretum. And basically by going down the reactor the way I did is just one massive sequence break. It saves something like 7 minutes off of the regular no out of bounds category. And I'm not even sure how much that saves off of like playing the game casually, but it's a lot. Didn't quite get the swag slide under the robot, but that's alright. And I gotta be a little bit careful with the jump right here because the floor is electrified. And then we get into the cargo bay. And so in this section, it's the first place where it becomes really apparent that you can move before the screen actually fades in from black, so I went around a bit of a corner there without being able to see where I was going. Oh, that was a bad clip. That's alright. Gets you a nice autosave right there.
For whatever reason, bonking your head and that little red and yellow beam just kind of pushes you out of bounds.
There we go. It just pops you right out here, and then we can open the store from behind. And we're into Guts. Guts has some fairly interesting movement. In this case, well, right now we're going up to Arboretum, and we're going to be using this moving rail system that's inside of Guts. And first, for the movement, I'm going to bonk that door to slow myself down. Oh. Oh my.
Oh, that's...
That was some pretty bad enemy RNG right there. Usually they don't completely body block you like that. Oh, and I didn't bonk the door, so I'm going all over the place.
There's about 6 different spawn layouts for those enemies, and there's one that'll always stun lock you. Unfortunately, that was the one.
Yep. Alright, we're out of there. We're on our way up to the Arboretum. I think this is it's one of the only instances of Guts where going out of bounds is slower than staying in bounds.
He's bouncing off of this little beam because for whatever reason, you get every time you go down to like 10 meters per second and you hit it, you go up to 13. So you get a little bit of speed every time you bounce off of it.
Alright, and we do get to see a little bit of different movement in Guts than you would in any percent as well, in a little bit. But for the most part, the rest of traveling through Guts is going to be done out of bounds. But first we've got Arboretum. I'm going to start killing that Typhon. I'm going to loot this body because I need the neuromod that's on him pretty soon. And I guess I'm going to go for this clip because why not? Hey, that worked really well. I'm gonna grab the shotgun.
That clip is a lot harder than it looked. You can get stuck very easily.
I'm just skyrimming my way up to Alex's office. Grab a few more neuromods. And I'm going to set up to displace the store over here. This is kind of the first actual cutscene that we quote-unquote see in this run. So I activate the cutscene from this computer, and normally this room seals off. Like all the doors lock, the windows close so you can't break out. And you're supposed to just sit here and listen to dialogue the whole time. But I can just displace the store. And I can't actually progress with this mission until this cutscene ends, but I can use the time of that cutscene to run around and collect a whole bunch of stuff in Arboretum. Like this last neuromod and a weapon upgrade, so now I've got enough neuromods to get the maximum mobility upgrade. And I'm also going to upgrade my weapons so they do more damage for like the one enemy I actually have to kill. But now, even if I have bad movement or mess up a few things in here, it's not actually a time loss because I can't actually leave this area until the cutscene's done playing, and that I've got some time before that happens. Right over here, there's a secret room right here. It's Alex's safe room. We need to be able to get in there. Yeah, I can just... Door moved like an inch to the left. But it's good enough. I'm gonna come over here. This is the one key code in the entire run that's randomized, but the game gives it to you when you enter Arboretum the first time anyway, so you just have it. It's really convenient. Right, and then I come down here because I need to open up this airlock for later. I'm gonna take some ammo off of that guy. And I get to run over this way. And I'm going to take some ammo from there. This is actually one of the harder categories of this game to run, because you skip so much of the early game that you have very little resources to work with, so I tend to go a little bit out of my way to pick up ammo wherever I can. Yeah, I'm just going to recycle whatever useless junk I have on me. Over here. And we do with the recycler off that body. Open up this thing for one more narrow mod. Grab a med kit. And that's all that I actually need to do in Arboretum for now. Just one more space I want to check for ammo, which usually has some. So, there's a room behind there, and it's got some pistol ammo, that's not bad. And the doors didn't have much. I'll eat an apple. So, now it's just waiting for this dialogue to finish so I can grab an item that's hidden in the desk here. And then, once I've got that, I get to head down to Psychotronics. And we get to see Guts again on the way.
Psychoscope to scan the coral. I'll send you the scan locations.
So that's a chipset for the Psychoscope. I can't actually equip it yet because I don't currently have the Psychoscope. And that's why I need to go down to Psychotronics right now, because that's a pretty important item for later. We're going to go through Guts again to get down there, but not quite going to go through Guts the same way as we did on the way up. Right, so I'm going to jump up here, put some glue there, and shoot some glue in that corner, and we're out of bounds. And I just get to fall all the way down to the entrance to Psychotronics.
Microgravity detected.
So the reason this is particularly fast is because you just get to be in free fall most of the way, and then you let the microgravity catch you at the bottom so that you don't just die from fall damage. I'm just gonna bonk my head into this, and it's gonna pull me back in bounds. And we are now in Psychotronics.
That's another one of those looks really easy clips, but in reality it's actually really hard. Because if you're just off angle when you hit your head, you're gonna get stuck.
Yeah, you have to fly into it at a really specific angle, or else you just kind of get stuck there floating around out of bounds and you can't do anything about it.
TranStar's last-ditch defense against an outbreak.
Now I get to displace another door.
Best part is the built-in Psychoscope tech. They can discriminate between alien and human targets.
Okay, I can slide under that one.
Problem for you, since you're not an alien.
This is another area of the game where, because of the nature of this category, I'm going through it backwards from what I'm usually supposed to. I'm going to open up this airlock.
Back in the 60s and 70s, the first research teams tried to communicate with the Typhon.
The reason I open the airlock first rather than doing that on my way out, there's an animation of the airlock door unsealing that takes a little while, and it's quite a bit faster just to hit the button to start it opening and then run down here while it's doing that. So here's where I get the Psychoscope, which is this thing that I use for scanning aliens. I also want the neuromod that was on that body.
I'm still checking it against my directives, but if scanning the coral will grant you access to Alex.
Now at this point he's gone pretty much completely backwards through the game. You're supposed to have gotten that within like the first 1 or 2 hours casually.
Just be careful.
Yeah, it is an item you're supposed to get pretty early on. Like, I was supposed to have it before I could even possibly get up to the Arboretum. I think normally you can't even get to Guts without coming through Psychotronics and getting the Psychoscope. Alright, but now I need to go and scan some coral. And to do that, I need to equip that chipset that I got. Mouse, please. Sometimes double-clicking things in menus in this game just doesn't work. I'm also going to finally equip this Typhon Lure that I picked up when I first went up to the Arboretum.
Then I suppose your truest self would be the one that fulfills whatever purpose your maker intended.
Sliding here, I'm going to throw that Typhon Lure down there so that these things leave me alone while I'm scanning the coral.
If not, you'll have to invent your own purpose.
So I need to scan 2 nodes. There's the one right there,
Strangely,
and the one right
I don't know what you believe.
there.
You have to decide.
Oh, so there we go.
Don't let them do this to you.
Now there is an alternate.
Careful here.
The enemies out here hit pretty hard.
Is holding the psyche of all their victims. Your hunch was on the right track.
The reason I pick up the Psychoscope so late in this route is that it's really convenient to do this all in one pass of, you know, coming out from Psychotronics, scanning the coral, and then flying the rest of the way up to Arboretum. It's actually a lot more efficient than it seems like. I'm just gonna smack my head into that. It's fine.
Excellent work. All that's left is integrating the data after you upload it. Hard to tell from just a scan summary.
And now we're back in the Arboretum again. And really, the hardest part of that whole last bit out in space is just, you know, the zero gravity controls are kind of awkward to handle. It's really easy to end up just flying off in directions you don't want to go, or just overshooting places that you want to end up. Right, but now, since I've scanned the coral, I have to come up into this office again to upload that data. And pick up another Typhon Lure and some more neuromods. I'm going to use those neuromods to upgrade my weapon damage, because apparently putting stuff in my brain makes my guns do more damage. Right, now that I've done that, some of the dialogue that was starting up here and a little bit from when I was out in space, he was talking about there was a shuttle launch, and this was basically a bounty hunter that has been sent after both your character and Alex Yu. That's him talking now. There's another slight Guts down. This one we only go about halfway because we have to get back inbounds a little bit earlier. I'm going to catch 0G here, clip in through this. Angle was awkward. Right. Right here, I'm going to use this rail again, only I'm going to fly to the underside of it so that it will give me extra speed moving down instead of up.
It's never spread outside the containment cylinder. Until now.
Because the devs had enough attention to detail to actually make the rail accelerate you both ways if you're on the right side of it.
It's dull. He already has his hooks into every major system on Talos 1. I have to admit, I'm disappointed with our parents.
And this is another spot where things can get a little bit awkward because of the enemies flying around. If they start hitting you, it can be really bad.
Regardless, we're not getting this coral data through until we
So I need the key card off of that body in order to open the door to shuttle bay here. Because I left Arboretum really quickly a few minutes ago, or just a minute ago, there's a chance that the shuttle actually hasn't spawned yet because I didn't wait for a certain line of dialogue. It's easy enough to fix if that happened, but it's just a little annoying. And yep, it's not there. So I just need to leave and come back. So we're coming up to the one big RNG section of the run. There's a certain enemy that we need to kill in order to progress the game, and its name is Casper. And in order to find out where Casper spawned, we need to go inside the shuttle that's here in the shuttle bay and activate a panel, because that'll begin a dialogue sequence that tells us where Casper is going to be. And he's got 4 different locations that he could spawn in. Something like either Hardware Labs or LifeL1ke Exterior are the best ones we can get, because they're the fastest. Could also be Psychotronics or Neuromod Division, and both of those are slower.
I have no doubt his operators are already on their way to rescue you. Those bracelets are issued and removed in deep storage.
Normally there's...
Worth investigating if you
Wow.
want to fly.
Normally there's a bunch of
Those bracelets are issued
stuff you have to run around and do in the shuttle bay to
investigating if you want to fly.
extend the bridge to get to the door, but if you get up on top of it, you can just kind of press the button through the wall there and then fall inside. That was the wrong one. Alright, so I hit that button there. That's going to begin the file transfer. I'm going to restart this dialogue because that's going to force my mission tracker to update. I got Psychotronics, which was down here. Unfortunately, Psychotronics is actually the slowest spawn you can get for Casper, so go figure that happens in a marathon. But there's a nice clip we can do to make it a bit faster. So, first thing is I'm going to come back out here. And there's those enemies from outside trying to come in to get after me. But I can do a little clip right here. This clip can be a little bit difficult because there's a bunch of junk sitting on the ground there that can mess it up. But I need to get onto that platform that's out of bounds in order to be able to make the jump over here. Because otherwise you just fall out of bounds and then you can't actually get over here. Right. But now we are back to Psychotronics. It's technically possible to reload for a better Casper spawn. It would not save any time though, because it's really weird. I've tested this a bit. The way he spawns, it's not when you activate the panel that the game determines where Casper spawns. It's when you leave Arboretum on the way to the shuttle bay that it determines where he spawns. So in order to manipulate his spawn, you'd have to load all the way back up in Arboretum to have a chance at a different spawn location.
I suspect they'd already be dead if Dahl weren't trying to use them to manipulate you.
We're almost there.
This is Casper. Status report.
I'm gonna start charging up this. There's Casper. I'm gonna stun him. And then get him with my upgraded shotgun.
Index cluster. No mass
Which runs out of ammo slightly before he dies, but that's what the pistol is for.
Doors are working again, Morgan. Nice work. I'm taking what's left of my crew to the
Now that he's dead, I need to get back out of here. I'm gonna climb up here. And the fastest way back up to Arboretum is to go out through this airlock again. Sorry, I've been doing a terrible job of reading chat. There's like almost no downtime in this run at all. Sorry about that.
Microgravity detected.
So now I just have to fly up this way. You can already see the quest marker where I'm trying to go. The only thing I'm really trying to do out here is kind of avoid flying into anything and accidentally dying from collision damage. Yeah, I'm just kind of flying in a straight line out of bounds for a little bit right now, so if we have any more donations, now might be a good time to squeeze them in.
Sorry about that, we actually don't have any donations right now.
Alright. Alright, so now we're past Casper, back into Arboretum, and the bounty hunter that I had mentioned earlier, he's normally down way near the bottom of the station in life support, but killing Casper causes him to move up to Arboretum because now he's trying to get at Alex, who is hiding in his safe room, which, as you might recall, we displaced the door to that safe room. Fortunately, NPCs don't seem to ever actually realize when the hitbox of a door isn't where it looks like it is, so he's just standing here trying to figure out what's going on. Then, just kind of zap Alex there, because we just need the items that he has on him. Particularly what we need is the fabrication plan for the nullwave device. So, for a category like any percent, this is basically the point where we're back to what any percent would be. Almost. Because normally in any percent you would just find the fastest way to get up to Arboretum, and then in an out-of-bounds area in Arboretum, that crafting plan is just floating out there, and you can just get out of bounds and pick it up and then end the game. So that's really the only big difference between no out-of-bounds items and any percent, is that I just can't go out and pick up that item while it's floating out there.
You program me to refute him point by point. However, we can skip that. A typhon the size of a skyscraper.
And hit the microgravity a little bit early here. That's alright, just means it's going to take a little bit longer to fly down.
Destroy the station. Just as you planned.
That worked out nicely.
Blast will take the monster down with it.
Quick save there, just in case. Just in case exactly that thing just happened. Move over this way a little bit.
Low gravity detected.
And again,
Okay.
the angle is really precise. So any slight tilt or one way can either get you stuck or just fall out.
There we go. Surprisingly, somehow only lost a couple of seconds on that. At least in-game time. Alright, now I'm back in Psychotronics again. And this run's going relatively well. I'm just going to do this other alternate out of bounds. It's not any faster, but it looks cool, and I like it. That panel that I just flew through doesn't actually exist. Don't worry about it. Where is it? There we go. Ooh. Okay, there we go. So, now I'm out here, I'm just going to fly over this way. Going to hit normal gravity again. Over here. And land on this pipe and just kind of fall back in bounds. I just like doing that. So there's two reasons that we had to come back to Psychotronics right now. The first is because I need to use this recycler. There is one up in Arboretum that we would normally use in any percent, but that one doesn't have any power going to it right now. That is because we picked up the crafting plan off of Alex's body that Arboretum loses power.
The original containment cylinder.
So now I get to do another clip here. This one actually does save quite a bit of time. So I land here. And I land down here. Didn't quite hit the low grav. There we go. And pop up through the floor. And now I get to plant the nullwave device right on here. A little bit scary now. I just used up the last of my med packs. Like I said, this is one of the more difficult categories of this game because you're so light on resources and you take a lot of damage doing things.
Assume Alex's plan
Oh,
succeeds.
looks like we made it.
Then what?
Alright. So, now we've done just about everything. We've gone through as much of the game as we absolutely need to. We crafted the nullwave device, we've planted it at the heart of the coral. Now we just need to get back up to Arboretum one more time in order to activate it. Now, this does mean going through guts again, but we get to go through it yet another way. Anytime. There we go. Now going out this way, because we're coming up from Psychotronics, to go through guts inbounds we would have to displace, I think, 2 more doors. And that would take quite a bit of time, and that's all before we could even get to the rail to accelerate upwards. So we're just going to clip out of bounds and fly up like this. It's nice, it's peaceful. And we're back in bounds. Just for whatever reason, curved surfaces are really easy to clip inwards from. So now I just get to fly up to Arboretum. You can see the apex siphon is kind of taking up some space in here. If I fly into it, I just die instantly. So I'm going to not do that. Alright, and like I mentioned earlier, this last run through of Arboretum is going to be a bit different from any percent, because when I picked up the fabrication plan off of Alex's body, the first thing that happens is that the area loses power, and the second thing that happens is that the area loses gravity, so now I have to fly through Arboretum. Which, considering how awkward the game's zero-G controls can be, it's a little difficult. Plus this first room has a lot of railings and boxes that you can bounce off of in awkward ways. We also have the apex siphon flying around in here, and I generally don't like to fly into it if I can avoid it. It shouldn't kill me right away, but still want to avoid it. And luckily the grav shaft just works like normal even in zero gravity. Alright, so time's coming up pretty shortly. Almost at the end, and just gotta run through this area and hit a button. I do, however, have to kill January first in order to be able to press the button. So here's January. He's been talking to us the entire game, but we've never actually seen him. And time. Alright, so that was Bray with no out-of-bounds items.
What is a neuromod? Well, it's both an easy answer